Hi there, welcome back to my channel. Um, it's still Joseph and it's still Golang for beginners. So, in our last video, we talked about the building blocks to any web application, whatever programming language you're using. But we focused more on Golang. Obviously, this is a Golang channel, so we focused more on Golang, and we talked about HTTP requests. This is how you make calls from your code base or from your app, and then to the web, and you allow customers to interact with your app, right? So we talked about the different methods such as get, post, put, patch, and delete, and we also use our internal HTTP packages or our internal HTTP package, which there's a HTTP handle func to make requests. So we spoke about the response writer, the request, and also request. You might need to check that out. You might actually need to check that video out. For this video, we are going to talk about the external packages, like the frameworks you might get to use. Because um, more than often, you might not get to use the internal HTTP package to make this request. You might need to use frameworks, which makes everything easier for you. For example, if you look here, we are the one handling the get, the post, and probably if you wanted to do your delete, you might want to handle the delete on your own, or probably handle the patch and the put and the put. But sometimes you might not want to handle all those things for you. You might need to use external packages that would handle the routing, handle the middleware for you. You might not want to write all that bulk code when there's something out there that can handle all those things for you, right? So, what frameworks would you suggest? What frameworks do you think we should be looking at? So we can actually do a quick stop, a quick search. I did a quick search, top external packages for Golang, and then we have Gin. Yeah, we do have Gin. So let's browse what is Gin-Gonic, right? You can see what is Gin used for. Gin is a high performance HTTP framework. So basically it does what the HTTP package does for us internally. So it's written in Go. So obviously, or we're using it for Go. It's also written in Go, so it should be fast because Go is actually a fast framework. Yeah, you can say 40 times faster here. Well, it claims to be up to 45 times faster. It allows you build web applications and microservices in Go like any other HTTP packages, even the internal one. Like I said, this is actually the building blocks to building an app. Needing to make HTTP requests is the building blocks towards making an app. No matter the sophisticated app, you must actually route it well, using HTTP request. And one of the external packages we are using is going to be a Gin-Gonic. So stay with me. Yeah, welcome back. Like I said, last time we wrote handle func a root. This, for example, we assume a root to be like our home directory, our home functioning, which once you went to the hey, localhost 8000 slash root, you will go. This is the root URL. Like it was more like a pathway. It was more like your home page, and then we handle some things here in this form. But this is going to be a little bit slightly different now that we are going to use gene package, obviously. So first of all, first thing we might need to do, we might need to go get, if you don't have it, you might need to go get it. I've already gotten it, so I have it, but I can still run it again. There's really nothing there. Let's comment this out so that we can, so that when we are writing when we are writing, we are going to compare and contrast the different things that has been happening, and that happened before when we are using internal package, and that's going to happen when we are using the gin package, right? So now, first of all, go get github.com slash gin slash gin. Once you get that to your system, yours might take longer than this. I've already gotten this. So after that, you're going to have to import it as usual. You import it in here. We should know how to import things by now. Why is it showing red? Sync dependencies, right? So So once you go get it, what is this? You need all this. Once you go get this, all you have to do is start using it, right? Router. So now our router is we're going to be routing it using Gin. Yeah, okay, we have it here, Gin.default. Gin.default. Yep, this is what we are using. It has imported it automatically, right? What we're using to route our things. So now let's write our first for like is that for welcome to home page, for example. We can just do our router dot get. Like I said, most home pages like it's basically a get method, a get request, because they are just once you enter the home page, they're just taking things from their database and showing you, okay, fine, this home page, this is, for example, Google home page, Yahoo home page. Yeah, just it's just a get request. So just do a slash, and then you're going to have home, the function that is going to render. We have not written that function yet. That's why you can see it red here. So now let's go write that function. Let's keep all this. Let's keep all these methods. Let's write. Like for example, we have func home. And what are we doing here? So there's a signature to it. There's actually a signature to when you're calling these functions in Gin. For example, when you're calling the function, this was a signature when we're using the internal HTTP package. You're seeing this error here because you cannot use home from home as a func handler. So now we are going to write that in the function the way that we're supposed to write it for a Gin package, which is basically writing. All you need to do is call it with a Gin.context, and that's all. As you can see, the error clears right here. The error clears. So now, what do you want to do? You just want to, for example, here we're just writing things out here, like probably this is the home directly, or this is the root URL. This was our get here. But if it was a get, we are doing welcome to our home page. So yeah, so we're just going to, so under this Gin context has so many. So for example, let's go back. It has whatever you need. Yeah, you could see here you have to pass in the response writer and then the request. In this Gin, you have the writer here, you have the request here, you have so everything that you need here. You have everything you need here. So right now we are writing out JSON. So you're going to do c.json. Let's write JSON. You're going to do c.json because you want to write out JSON. So when you're writing things out, you do need the status code, like status code 500. That's for the error. Status code 200. So you can do http dot status okay, meaning you can browse about status code later, or maybe I can maybe have another video to properly explain status code. But this is going to be status code 200, and then if you look at this, what this JSON does, c.json does, it says giving the structure of JSON response, you can set whatever type application. So what it does, it's going to help you write the status code, and then any object, for example, if you were doing some manipulation here, you get something from your database, and then and return it as the objects. So you return it as an object. Right now, we're not getting it from database. So we're just returning welcome to my home page, right? As easy as that. So that's basically what we are doing here. That's basically what we are doing over here. So now, remember here we were doing listening and serve here. We're listening to localhost 8,000. So let's just print this out here too. Let's do our listen and serve here. We are logging this. We're trying. The server is going to be running on localhost 8,000 as usual. That's just a log. There's nothing there. And then, how do we do listen and serve when it comes to Gin? Simple. We just do this is going to be our server. Our server is going to be HTTP dot server http dot server right? You can feel you can let's see what this entails. It has all these settings you want to set. But what we are really interested in is the ports, which right now we want to listen on port 8000. So you can just copy that, which is a colon, is that a semicolon, is that a colon, whatever, 8000. So that's the port we are listening to. And then the handler, what is going to be handling our routing for us is going to be our gene router. That's our handler there. Is a gene router there. So you can just press that. So all this configuration right now you might not need it. Some for example, read timeout, you can read what it does, maximum duration of read, including the body. So all these things you can read through it, see what it does. But right now, for the purpose of this particular video, we are going to handle just the address that we are going to run on and what we are using to handle our routing, which is going to be our default gene router here. And then from there, we can do our listener self, right? From there, we can do our server dot listen listen and serve. So from there we can do our server dot listen and serve there, and that's so what I didn't do here, but I'm going to want to do here so that we have to let's try and handle error. You can do error is equals to if so that you can actually log your error. If there's any error that's going to happen, you can just log error in listen and serve, right? Just log the error there so that you can you can identify your error properly. So that's what I didn't do it here, but I'm going to do it here. So now if you could have done we could have done it here if this, let's just comment this out. You can see here we could have done it here. We didn't handle error here. You could have still done error supposed to, and then you now do if error is not equals to nil, you log the error here. Error in list, whatever, error in listen and serve, and then you log the error here, and then you return, right? We could have done this, but we didn't do it that time. Anyways, comment it out. So this is what we're working with. You can see the resemblance. You can see how we handle the routing here, the different pages. This way we handle the pages. Now we are talking about the home page, the get request. So let's run this, and then I'll tell you how to and we'll handle other methods for you, right? So as usual, we are doing go run main.go. So you see that this is the only route we have right now. We only have a get, which is a slash route, which is actually our home page, and it's listening at localhost 8000. See, server running on localhost 8000. So let's go there. Localhost 8000 obviously is a get request. There's nothing to put in here. It's a get request. So if you click that, you can see welcome to my home page. Now you can see the status 200, status okay, which is what we identified here, status okay, status code 200. So I'm showing you different things. Now let's write a post request. Let's do an example of a post request. And for our post requests, we we do know what a post request does, right? A post request is going to try and get something from the going to try and get something our from the user, and then probably save it in the database, and then you return an answer or something for them to see that okay, we have gotten what we need from you. So right now we do a post. What are we doing? We just call it example posts. For example, we still have the same signature. Have the c gene dot context. Then basically that's still the same signature. So now what are we going to do? Let's see. Let's try and get, for example, in Golang, I think I spoke about models somewhere else. I've spoken about models somewhere, structs and models. You can check out my my other video. So I was speaking about structs before, and so I'm going to just create a struct here, a type of struct, post, what am I going to call this? Post request. So I'm going to request, and it's going to be a struct. Just call it request. Post request is going to be a struct. So yeah, what we're doing here, we're taking name and age. So right now I'm just going to have a name here, which is going to be a string, and going to come in form of the JSON form name. This is very important. You have to remember your JSON type, because when you're communicating between the web, JSON is what you use to pass information, right? So yes, we're going to have the age here. Should we make the age string, or we can make it whatever? We can make it a string. We can make it an integer. Just make it an integer, right? And then also remember the tag, JSON tag, which is going to be age too, right? So what are we doing here? We are going to tell these are going to let's refer this to our request. Our request is going to be this post request. So this is what we are going to do here. So what we're trying to do, we're going to um collect this from the home page using our gin, and it's as easy as saying c dot what are we looking for, should bind, should yeah, I think c dot should bind JSON. Is it should bind with JSON or should bind JSON? I think it should bind JSON. C dot should bind JSON. Okay, that's not it. Or C dot bind JSON should be it. C dot should, let's say, should bind. Yeah, should bind. I think should bind should work. C dot should bind, and then we are binding this. We're binding the request. That's what we're trying to do here. Let's handle error as usual. This error is equals to, if error is not equals to nil, what you do is we are going to, yeah, now we start doing the different things. So if error is not equals to nil, you are still going to return this, do c dot JSON, and then but you're going to have a different error code, HTTP. So now this error might be like, it's going to be bad request. So error, if you're trying to bind it and it's not happening, you're going to have a bad request. You can just say bad request, or you can give whatever specification you want to say to give, so that you can look at it, right? So you can know what's happening exactly. So you can have this. So what's happening here is, this is this is the kind of request you're expecting. You're expecting a name and an age. So once you're expecting it, you bind it. You're taking it. What you're doing, binding it. Let's override. Checks the method and this, and select the binding. Okay. Let's come here. It passed the request body as JSON, right? If the content is application JSON, pass it as JSON. So it's going to pass this JSON tags into this field, and then you're going to pass it as request here. So now what we did here was we just printed it out here. We just printed um name is blah years old, right? That's what we did. So you can always have that here as, let's say, answer is equals to fmt dot sprint, and then you now have your name, right? You do have your name s is years old. So and then what you're passing it in is the request. You now have your request dot name here. You also have your request dot age. So what you're doing now, this your answer. You're trying to say this name, which is this, is whatever the age that you're passing it, years old, and there you have it. All you have to do is do c.json, like we saw it, http status okay, http sorry, status okay. Then you're now passing your answer here as the object. By the way, if there's an error and then you print this out as an error, you might want to return so that it doesn't continue down here. So put that in my mind. Want to return a script, and if there's an error, you're going to return after you print it out for the user to see that this is an error. You return it so it won't continue down here. So now let's call this in our router as our router here. So we just do I'm just going to do copy and paste. It's going to be a post request. Okay, let me not do copy and paste since we're writing something else. I'm going to do router dot post, and what is going to be our is going to be slash post sample post sample, right? Slash post sample. Then we just have our example post here, and that's it. Yeah, we are done with the post request. Let's start the server again. Shut the server down, start it again. So now you can see that we have a get here, which is the home page. We also have a post here, which is the sample post. So just copy this route. Yes, sample post. Go to here. Just do slash sample post. Remember, this is a post request. And now this is where you put your body. You come here, body, this raw body. Now let's call this without a body and see what error is going to give us. Okay, okay, now this is not how it's supposed to work. That's because we are supposed to use should bind. Should bind returns an error. Let's change this to should bind JSON. Should bind with JSON body. So let's use should bind with JSON body here so that we can see an error. This is normal. When you are writing code, it might not be the way you might need to troubleshoot it. So consider this troubleshooting. So we are changing this to should bind with JSON body. Let's call that again. Yeah, you can see it returns the error, bad request error, and that's the error you have there, bad request. So now let's call it with the proper body. Let's call it with the proper body. Let's say this is with the proper body with the JSON tag is for this is sorry, we're using JSON, right? So take notes, it's raw, we're using JSON. So now let's call it with the proper body. We're using just the name is Joseph, and then we're using the age is, let's say, 16. So if we call this, you can see Joseph is 16 years old. So what happened is it took the name here, after it binded the JSON request here with the should bind with JSON, it puts it here as the name, puts the name here as the name, and then the age here as the age. So I hope I hope you are following through. I hope you got some other you got what you needed to do. So now let's even do a put request. We can also use this for puts, because we're not really doing anything for example here. Let me just put this here. Um, create this in the database. So if we're using this for puts, let's just do example post. Let's copy this, do example puts, right? So you'll be saying change something, change or update something in the database, right? We are still using the same whatever. We're using the same objects request. So it's basically the same thing, just that we are going to use we're going to use a router dot put or patch. Let's use patch, and then we just do patch example, and then we now do example patch. Okay, since they just call this, it's the same thing basically. Please check my video. You might know the difference between patch and put, but right now I'm just going to show you patch. Change this to patch, right? So going to be obviously slash patch. So what is going Now let me explain something to you. You see how easy it is to handle get here, also handle post here, and also handle maybe a patch or a put or a delete. While here we might need to do a couple of checking on our own. If we're going to handle this, we might have to handle, okay, if check for the method, if this method is equals to get, if this method is equals to post or put or patch or delete or etc. But while it was easy, what is relatively easier to um just switch within it, because we are already specifying that here when you're using the framework, the Gin framework. So now let's stop this. Yeah, for example, let me just show you when we called a bad request earlier. This was what we had. We had this bad request for 400, and then so you can use this to troubleshoot and know what exactly is happening to your app. And so now let's shut this down. Let's start up the server again. Go run main.go. Start up the server again. Just now we have three routes: get, post, pouch, and this is the example for the pouch. So now patch. So now let's call this patch on the post. Let's call that our function on the post. It's going to tell you page not found because it's not a post request. So now let's do this. Let's make it a patch request. And for example, it's expecting what do you call it? It is expecting um an object to be passed, a body, is expecting a body to be passed. If you pass without the body, it's going to give you bad request because you need the body. So let's put the body back there. Let's say Tony is 50. Tony age 50. So if you go, he's probably assumed it has done all the updates in the database and is going to return Tony is 50 years old. And yeah, you can see the first one we called, it was an error. It was an error there. It's going to give you 400, but the successful one is going to give you 200 as status code, which is what we have here. Oh, status okay, 200 status okay. So I hope this makes sense to you. If it doesn't make sense to you, you can always reach out to me, and let's keep in touch and watch out for my next video. Thank you.